Well, thanks for listening to the LCR Media Podcast, where we get to know the pros. I'm your host, LCR Naylor Taliaferro, and on today's IBG episode, I just wanted to follow up on the Equip Expo. I do have, well, as you have heard, I believe already you heard the Influencer Live podcast live at the Equip Expo. So I had Alex Kirby as a guest for that episode. So that was an awesome time, tremendous event. I'll get into that in a second. And I have a couple guests lined up after this. So this is truly an in-between guest episode, how I envisioned it, over a year ago or whatever, but a lot more in-between guest episodes that I normally have had, just because, as probably all of you know, with your own businesses and just me talking about it, it's been a challenging year, really, a challenging 365 days, right? Like 2 summers ago was extremely stressful for me, as well as many of you, potentially dealing with the labor issues where just the bottom fell out completely. It's always been a challenging time for, or a challenging business industry for finding, good laborers, good help, good, team members to grow a team and build your business. Cause at the end of the day, you need people to get the work done. I mean, you can have a lot of machines, but you still need some people to run the machines. And if you can't find anybody, it's just been rough. So depending on whatever size you are, if you're looking for crew leaders, trying to get multiple crews, or just trying to build up one crew, or just trying to get one part-time person to help you get everything done in the week, whatever it is, if you're trying to find anyone, it has definitely been extremely difficult compared to normally, like prior to COVID. So that all this just one of many adverse effects or after effects, impacts of COVID, just people not wanting to work, not valuing, working hard to earn a living for one reason or another. I mean, and I know there's been a lot of just a quick side rabbit hole here. I know there's been a lot of silver linings, I guess, to it, because from an employee standpoint, we've all of us business owners have had to be creative, come up with more benefits, more incentives, more rewards, raising our pay rates, which then in turn makes us hopefully we did this. Otherwise, we're cutting into our profits and harming our health of our business. But hopefully we increased our prices as well on all of our services and all that. I mean, there's inflation with gas and all kinds of expenses going up. So we should be raising our prices to compensate for that. And in addition to trying to find good people, to build our team, we have to raise our pay rates and things like that. So all that, should have been happening all along. So, but for those that just didn't think about it or didn't know, or were just trying to be maybe potentially stingy or cheap or thinking they can cut corners, this kind of really, put a hard stop on all that and force people, kind of survival of the fittest, really force people that really wanted to stay in business and were in it to win it, like such as myself. And probably, hopefully, I'm assuming many of you or all of you listening, you had to figure out a way. You had to get creative. You had to raise your prices. You had to raise your pay rate. You had to come up with different incentives, like, getting work shoes for your guys and girls, getting maybe work pants, like a specific work pant that maybe you as a business owner have figured all this out already. Like, hey, I always buy Cujo Yardwear, or I always buy, blank, whatever other brands are out there that you found maybe are the best fit for you, literally, right? Maybe you have a certain type of pants. Maybe it's Cujo Yardwear pants that just came out. Maybe it's, and, they're not sponsoring this episode. I'm just all about, being honest and supporting and sharing my thoughts and opinions. But, or maybe it's just some, a particular pair of Dickies pants or something you can just get at Walmart, or you can order them in bulk through Amazon or whatever, like a certain type of work gloves, hopefully you have a uniform shirt of some sort that you provide to your team, maybe even a work hat like I do, whatever. But hopefully you've developed those kind of things over time, and you now maybe want to just provide those for free for your crew so that they can feel valued. Like, oh, I don't have to worry about going through my own shoes or, spending $100+ on a pair of good work shoes or whatever, and, going through pants constantly or whatever the deal is, providing those things, is not only helpful and convenient, but also, might help people feel valued. So whatever it is that we had to do to get through this, hopefully you are getting through it, such as myself. I've done many of the different things that I've mentioned just a minute or two ago to try and do that. So, but it has been extremely stressful and hard, challenging to get through all of that. And it meant that I had to do a lot of work, a lot of physical work on so many different levels on my business that I was trying to move on to other things, move on to bigger and better things from that. Like I was trying to get out of one truck and into another truck and do more selling and more customer service and more behind the scenes things and working more on my business instead of in it all the time. But I was forced to be back in my business 24/7, literally it's sometimes, just to keep the wheels from falling off, because I just couldn't find and keep good people to have a strong team. So, we're on the come up from that now. We're rebuilding from that. But I said all that, like this last summer was a lot better than the previous summer. So things are on the come up. But I just said all that to say that still trying to create content, still trying to share with you guys and learn from you guys, and hopefully maybe add some value for you guys that are going through different things as well. And it's been harder for me with dealing with all the things I just said to be able to get a lot of guests in on the podcast and make a bunch of YouTube videos and all that. I've just been really trying to just stick to the things that I'm still passionate about, but that are easier to fit into my schedule. Like sitting here in the studio and recording my thoughts on an IBG episode like I'm doing today. And like I've done many times over the last, 6-7 months or whatever. And throwing up stuff on Instagram has been a lot of fun and a lot quicker and more efficient than recording a bunch of things, a bunch of clips for a YouTube video and sitting down and editing it the way that I want to edit and make it really good the way I want it to be, to put it to upload for you guys to watch instead of just throwing up just random stuff just to throw it up. So the YouTube videos are few and far between for that reason and so on. So I've just been doing whatever I can to still participate in the community and provide content and do what I enjoy, which is create content. I'm passionate about that, always have and always will be. And so that's short story long there, just going down. I know I probably have a lot of new people listening to these recent episodes. Even if you were longtime listeners, you may have been busy as well. And now you're kind of getting caught up as the season's starting to wind down. And if you were at the Equip Expo, there was a lot of fresh new content coming out of there. Maybe you're even on that content, so you're just anxious to hear it, right? And listen to it. So that's why I'm just kind of going into this, is probably going into that little backstory, that little rabbit hole, because of all the new ears and eyeballs on the content that I'll be putting out in the next couple of weeks and going forward. So anyway, this is truly an IBG episode, is the moral to that story, where, guest before this episode and guests after this episode. So anyway, I really just wanted to recap the Equip Expo. I don't really plan on going too in depth or anything. Just wanted to say, first and foremost, thank you to everyone that showed up to Influencer Live and Energize, even though that wasn't my event, or I didn't have any I didn't do any work or anything on that event. That was all Brian Fullerton and the crew involved with that, and obviously Equip Expo putting that together. And they did a phenomenal job. I'm sure, I helped influence attendance, to that event. I tried to share it as much as I could to get people to go there. And, we talked about it whenever we could and things like that. So, but that was not my event or anything. It was probably inspired in part by previous events like Influencer Live. We were able to use the same room and the same setup and things like that. So kind of Influencer Live helped pave the way for other great events like Energize, and I'm sure there's more to come. I know Equip Expo has been talking about like how amazing we did to pack these rooms in and give great knowledge on both of those events on Thursday. And those of you that attended will probably agree and know what I'm talking about. But if not, if you weren't at either one or at Influencer Live, you can hear all of the recorded episodes that we recorded live. So mine should have been prior to this episode. If you didn't hear that yet, go back one episode and check that out. So that should have been Tuesday's episode if everything works out. I'm recording all this stuff in wacky order time here, but that's my plan, my goal. And same thing for Kid Contractor podcast with Caleb Allman and the Green Industry podcast with Paul Jameson. I'm sure they'll be uploading their episodes in the next week or two as well. I don't know exactly when, but I know they're probably not going to wait very long for that, but they'd have probably other episodes too in the queue. I know I saw them recording other podcasts throughout the week, so lots of exciting content there. So if you weren't able to be there live, you can listen to those recorded episodes and still hopefully get a good feeling. I listened to the raw file of the entire hour-and-a-half event, all 3 episodes and everything, and it sounded good. You can hear the crowd in the background getting hyped up with different things, and the Q&A came through great, and all of our jokes and banter was a good time. So it's as good in my eyes and ears. It's in my mind. It's as good of a live episodes as they could be, in my opinion. So, but I want to thank you guys for coming out to all those events. Like I said, it was packed. It was double line, standing room only, Thursday morning at Influencer Live. And, Equip was freaking out a little bit and rushing around trying to get more chairs ushered in so people didn't have to stand for an hour and a half, and just trying to get as many chairs down there as they could for people to sit down and be able to enjoy the full experience of Influencer Live. So I just appreciate you guys coming out and supporting us. Hopefully we provided some value for you guys. And by you coming out and supporting us means that we will be able to continue providing value because, we will, I don't have any official updates, but I'm pretty confident we'll be continuing this next year with another Influencer Live and so on. So again, thank you from the bottom of my heart for that, for showing up and really supporting us, supporting you, right? That's kind of the whole goal there. I also want to say a big thank you to every single person that waited after Influencer Live. I don't remember the last time I've had a line of people waiting to talk to me. It's super humbling, exciting, and overwhelming. And I want to talk to everybody. And I want to make sure everyone gets the time that they deserve, for us to talk and have a good time. And it's just, everyone was super grateful for me, but I'm super grateful for you because you guys don't realize how much you've helped me over the years as well. Like this is a two-way street here. The whole purpose of me starting to make content, 8 years ago when I stumbled upon Spencer Lawn Care and Geek the Freak and Keith Kalfas and B&B Lawn Care and several others that have come and gone over the years. I fell in love with that small community and wanted to be a part of that community and wanted to share my own content. And I really enjoyed it once I started doing it. And I've just been kind of like documenting, that's the word. I've been documenting my journey the entire time, my social media journey, creating LCR media and all the events I've been doing and all of the unique original content that I've been creating, whether it be Get to Know the Pro series on YouTube where I traveled all over the country and went to everyone's shops and hung out for the day and, and told their story and all kinds of stuff. And I even had people at the rally a couple nights back on Thursday night. They were actually talking about the Get to Know the Pro series, and I was like, man, it's still you don't realize sometimes the ultimate impact of things for years to come. Sometimes you meet someone that you haven't had a chance to meet yet, and they're talking about something from years ago and how they enjoyed it, and it was motivational or whatever, educational, things like that. So all of those things I've been documenting along the way over the last 8 years and just trying to do whatever I can to participate in the community and help grow the community and as well as help grow myself personally and professionally, my businesses and all that. So I'm extremely grateful for everyone waiting to talk to me, to thank me and to talk to me and ask me questions and kind of continue some conversations maybe from the content that I've recently put out or, that the live events and things like that. And so I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for your gratitude, because I know I was talking to Paul Jameson on the way home over the phone, and because we both had really long, I say really, but some people obviously had longer drives than us, but he was driving 7 hours and change. I had 9 hours, of a drive. So we had plenty of time to talk on the phone and do other things. So I know we were talking and he was saying how he got so fired up, because I was saying, man, there's so much gratitude this year. There was just so many people that were so grateful for all of the content and all of the events that we put together to just help make the Equip Expo the best experience possible, as well as, I guess, all, their business and everything in the past leading up to that, adding value to that and helping people, man, I didn't think about that. Oh, raise my prices. Here's a easy way to do it, and this and that, and all the different stuff that everyone does, over the years and currently and in the future to just help give back and help share content and just help grow the community, really, which then ultimately is growing the industry. And I talked about that briefly, about talking about our market and creating our own market and things like that on the Influencer Live episode with Alex Kirby, from some of the Q&As that got me all fired up. But I know Paul, was fired up, and so was I. He said it like, so sometimes when we're creating content, like right now, I'm all by myself. And even if we're interviewing somebody, it's typically like through Zoom or something or over the phone. Like we're not constantly we don't have a ton of people in our local area that we can interview, or we already have. So we don't want to just interview the same people over and over again. And, we can't always just travel all over the country all the time to interview people. So, and there's only so many live events, Quip Expos once a year. You got Brian's event, Brian Fullerton's event, LEL. And, sometimes there's other ones that have popped up over the years. I know Kohler's got their event coming up in February, I believe. And so, there's different events. I try to keep popping up some events here and there, just ways to keep bringing people together, because I just love it. And I see a lot of gratitude from folks that participate in that. So I want to keep that going so that, there's that same theme and vibe going and help keep growing the community. But it, so I say, all that because it becomes kind of lonely sometimes, we're literally just making this content and there's no real connection to people on the other end. Like, of course we can see that people are listening. We can see the download, the numbers of downloads and the numbers of views and people clicking likes and commenting on videos and Instagram posts and things like that. Of course there's that, but that's still not the same as when we go to a live event like a Quip Expo just recently and see dozens, if not hundreds of people over the course of several days face to face. And we can put the face to the name. They can do the same thing with us. Some people are like, oh, I've heard your content and I've heard about you and, but I've never, I never really put the face to the name or whatever. Or there's been a couple of times where, funny enough, and this is kind of tongue-in-cheek to a previous conversation with Paul and I episode leading up to Quip Expo where we were talking about our plans and promoting all the different things, the events that we were doing. But there was a segment there, if you know, if not, you can go back to that a few episodes ago and check that out. But, there's a lot of wives that came up with their husbands, and they were like, oh, it's good it's good to put a face to the voice, or a face to the name, because my husband would just be laying in bed next to me, listening to you watching a YouTube video or listening to your podcast, like driving here or something like that, and I hear your voice and hear you talking, but now it's good to see put a face to the voice or a face to the name type deal. So that's doing all of that helps, to my point, helps kind of renew the energy of creating more content. So I know Paul and I were talking about, and I'm sure this is a common theme for all the other content creators, but I don't want to speak for them, but I'm sure it's a common thing that, we get fired up after this and we can't wait to keep creating fresh new content. So I'm a little all over the place with this because I'm just super pumped. I'm also a little exhausted from the week, and it was a great time. But I just really wanted to start off by make sure that I'm stressing how thankful I am and how grateful I am for these opportunities with the Quip Expo and with all the brands that participate in the rally and all the different things that I've been a part of and created, and just having a good time with all of you guys and meeting you all in person, sometimes for the 5th or 6th time, sometimes for the first time. I always meet people for the first time every year, so it's super exciting, and I'm so glad that you guys were able to stumble upon this community, so that you didn't miss out on these kind of things. And I'm so happy that you are getting some kind of value out of it, because it can definitely feel like a lonely, speaking about being lonely, just being an entrepreneur, whether you have a supportive spouse or not, it's not the same unless it's like Caleb and Brittany Allman, where they're both literally out there digging holes in the dirt together, or they're both in the back office working on the business together. Unless there's that, you're still pretty much alone. You're out there doing all the work by yourself or with employees. And, unless you have other entrepreneur friends locally or that you are able to stay in contact through social media, it can really feel like a lonely place. Entrepreneurship is a very lonely, you feel like you're on an island isolated all by yourself a lot of times. So that's why these live events I feel are super energizing and necessary, and why so many people go, because you just get pumped, you get motivated, you just want to feel, you just want to connect with like-minded people. And then there's a certain energy that comes from that is just unexplainable. You just have to experience it. And those of you obviously that are listening probably know, unless you haven't been able to go to any live events yet, but hopefully this will motivate you to try and do something and go to something like, LAL coming up soon. You can just go on Brian Fullerton's content anywhere and everywhere. Either the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast or Brian's Lawn Maintenance on YouTube, Instagram, and all that. And you can check out all the details for his event, LAL. That's coming up in a few weeks. So that's another opportunity there to get some education and also network and meet some folks and have a little snippet, 1 or 2 day snippet of what I'm talking about that just happened at Equip Expo and any other live event if you haven't been to any yet. So I recommend that strongly.
Hey friends, Mr. Producer here, and I've been listening to Naylor emphasize route density on his podcast for over a year now, and I've encouraged him to take all this material and create a masterclass to put all of his knowledge in one place and share it with you. This is going to be a live 3-week course. Nothing's pre-recorded. You'll have access to group live streams and one-on-ones with Naylor. Every session ends with action steps that you can implement right away in your business. Plus, you'll get a copy of the session recordings emailed to you. Hey, if you want to learn how to make $1,000 all the way up to $3,000 a day in lawn maintenance through route density, then you need to click the link in the episode description. Trust me, you won't be disappointed. Toro's brand new battery-powered Revolution Series products are changing the lawn care industry. With all-day runtime from the innovative HyperCell battery system, you can expect to power through your entire day, every day. Head to revolution.toro.com to see how Toro is transforming the game with the latest equipment innovations, or click the link tree in the episode description to get you there fast.
So that was one of my 2 biggest takeaways, was the amount of gratitude for everything that everyone has done in the community with all the sharing, content creating, events that are being put on and all that. Tons of gratitude, not just anything that I do, but everyone and that is in the community in any shape or form. So many people help out in so many ways, whether it's just posting something in the Road to Equip Facebook group, which I haven't even been able to get caught up on all that stuff yet. I've gotten more notifications, more tags, more thank yous and pictures and handshakes this year, literally, than ever before. I don't think even like in the very beginning, the first couple of years, it was even to this extent. So again, clearly we're all doing something well. We're all getting everyone fired up. We're all sharing. We're all growing. I know we kind of all came from some tough times, the whole world did. So we're all kind of rebounding from that with the pandemic and everything. So that might have contributed to bringing us a little bit closer and having more gratitude. But man, I just can't say it enough. Like, if you know, if you were there, you get what I'm saying. But it is just record attendance. Also, by the way, for those of you that don't know, the Equip Expo, like, I don't have any final numbers. I don't work for them or anything like that, but I've talked to Equip Expo folks several times over the course of the week, and record numbers. They shattered all the records. Most amount of people that have ever been to Equip Expo, or when it was the GIE, over the last 20-something years, or I think 30-something years now, that's actually been a thing. But I know it's evolved a little bit over time. But record-breaking attendance. So that's exciting. That means the expo is still growing, and they don't plan on looking back. And that's why, part of the reason why they changed the name to Equip Expo. They kind of wanted to rebrand, restructure a little bit. Some of the management changed. OPEI is in full control now, and they're able to do everything that they want to do, which sometimes their hands were tied in the past with some of the things that they want to do, like create content, create events with content creators, aka influencers, so that we can have you guys come and just give give you the value that we know we want, that hopefully you want, and that maybe you've even asked for, versus some of the maybe previous things in the past that weren't as successful, at the show and things like that. So the show's goal is to keep everything that works, so that you know and love and remember from the show, from the expo, and just keep adding new things. What else can we do? Like when they put up a tree in Freedom Hall to have tree climbing training and all that, a couple years back, and, adopting dogs, with Mutt Madness and all that, and just increasing the space inside and outside for more demo, the UTV or whatever track that you can drive around, all kinds of, side by sides and things like that. And all kinds of things that they just keep trying to add in, and things like Influencer Live and Energize, like those things were not even capable of happening just a few years ago until OPEI was able to take over. So that's all part of that ultimate solution for growth. It's the 6th largest trade show in the country. It's the number 1 trade show. I'm sure no surprise there in our industry. It's the largest and the most attended in our industry. And it's the 6th largest physically and attended in our country out of all trade shows, all shapes and forms, car shows, all that stuff. It's the 6th largest. So that's kind of mind-boggling and crazy and exciting all at the same time. Also, I heard another fact, those of you that are all about fun facts and numbers and things, I heard also that the amount of acres that we increased out, or that the Equip Expo increased outside for the demo area, made them the 2nd largest outdoor expo, demo area in the country. So the entire show is the 6th largest. It might change now after this year, but leading up to this year, it was the 6th largest. And then with the increased space outside, it was the 2nd largest outdoor acreage space in the country. So I just say all that to say, wow, Equip Expo is amazing. It's growing. It's having a good time. I know there's been some ups and downs. I know there's been some changes that folks aren't really 100% on board or 0% on board. Like, some of the liability things that they've been revisiting, and the new age restrictions. I mean, I'm just going to be honest and call it out. I'm not hiding away from these conversations. They're not my decisions anyway, and I can just give my input. But like I've said to a lot of folks, I think that they improved the communication from last year to this year so that it made people well aware of the new age restrictions and what it is. 12 years or older to attend, 16 or older to be in the demo, or to demo equipment outside with a driver's license. So they were very clear, and everyone knew up front, versus all the confusion and miscommunication last year. And people brought their family, their kids, and they couldn't do a lot of things that they were planning on doing, and it was just kind of a surprise. This year, leading up to it, everyone knew. So a lot of people didn't come. So that's unfortunate that I wasn't able to see a lot of familiar faces, a lot of friends and peers and mentors in the industry that chose to stay home with their family. And I totally get it. I totally get it. If you're going to make the trek out here, one, maybe you don't have anyone that you want to be babysitting your kids. They're not old enough to stay home and so on. I mean, clearly, if they were old enough to stay home, they could be old enough to come. They'd be over 12, right? So you don't have anyone to leave your under 12-year-olds home while you come to the expo, and or maybe you just don't even want to. You just want to bring your whole family and make it like a little mini vacation and do all the stuff around Louisville and all that while you're down here, in addition to the expo. And I get that. I totally get that. If it didn't seem worthwhile, it didn't seem worthwhile. And I know a lot of folks didn't come because of that. And that also affected, side note, it affected the attendance for the rally, because I noticed that there was a little bit less. We only had, the last 2 years, last year and 2019, prior to COVID, we had over 600 people show up. This year, we barely had 500 people show up. So there's definitely a drop off there. It still seemed packed, still had a lot of people, still was a phenomenal time. It's not like only 2 people showed up. But my thing is, when you're running expos and putting together different events and meetups, after parties, all this stuff, those things you're conscious of, right? I'm always looking at the numbers and want to know, like, what do I need to improve or upgrade for next year? Do I need, is it, every year typically it was increasing, the amount of people coming. So what am I, I've always had the think of this stuff to potentially change the venue or find a way to increase capacity in the current venue, all these things, get an additional sponsor to cover the added new expenses of a bigger venue, more food, all that kind of stuff. That's unfortunately a takeaway from the rally, just diverging into that there, going sideways into that real quick, that everyone, I heard lots of great feedback. So yes, we had a little bit less people. Probably no one even noticed. Everyone probably thought we had the same amount of people as last year, if not more. I mean, everyone's just having a good time talking to everybody, and it's all good. But me behind the scenes running all this, and the brands that are sponsoring it, and obviously the venue themselves, they're always curious, how many people do you think are going to come? Well, I don't know, because as we know, I've said a gazillion times, please register for this free event so that I know how many people are hopefully coming, so I can answer those questions. But of course, I know everyone's busy and they forget. And, I do want to say thank you for all of the last minute folks that did register over the course of the last week to get it up to, I think we were up to 400 and something registrations. So I kind of feel like, hold on, let me pause this and double check. Yeah, wow, we actually had 494 people register for this, but we didn't click 494 people in. Payjack was handing out raffle tickets, so there wasn't 494 raffle tickets. I think it was like right around 450 raffle tickets that we gave out. And the same thing with the clicker. The venue, Copper and Kings, has like a tally, whatever, so that you can, like an electronic one, so you click it for every person, so you know exactly how many people are there. They use that in the second and third floor because each one of those floors had a different capacity level. So of course, when we have an event with 600 people potentially coming, they can't have 600 people in one space on one floor. The upper floor was like 100 people, and the second floor was like 200 people, and then outside was, I don't remember, but a lot. You could probably, I think it's like 400 people or something capacity down there. So altogether, we still have plenty of capacity for our event and still room to grow, as long as everyone's not in one section. But yeah, so more people registered than showed up, technically, is what it looks like. But it's still, my point is, it's still pretty accurate. It's not like 494 people registered and 600 people showed up. Last year, 600 people registered and 600 plus, a little over 600 people showed up. So I just say all that to say, I guess a little tongue in cheek maybe, but the numbers, I notice those things. I pay attention to those things. Those things matter from a planning standpoint, and the brands want to know, and the venue needs to know, and all that kind of stuff. But so there was a little drop off there. So I didn't see a single child at the rally last night versus in years prior. There's always families there, kids there, and everyone has a good time. So that was obviously a part of that drop-off. And then, of course, the Equip had to schedule Trace Atkins on, the best night, right? Of course, peak night, Thursday night, let's have, a big country music superstar downtown on 4th Street Live. Totally cool, totally awesome. But I'm pretty sure, I know for a fact, some people told like John Pajak and some other folks that, they weren't going to be able to come to the rally because they just wanted to make sure they got a good spot early down on 4th Street so that they can watch Trace Atkins. So I totally get that. And then people were peeling out early, which is why it's 6 to 9, right? So that people can come in early, have fun, grab some food, a drink maybe, and just have a good time, network, maybe meet some folks that they hadn't had a chance to meet at the expo because there's so many more people there and there's so much more area to cover. Here, at least it's more condensed, so there's only so many places you can go. So you're more likely to bump into anyone that you want to bump into if you walk around the entire venue, upstairs and all that kind of stuff. So that's kind of the whole point of the rally, to just really get together and be able to hang out with folks and talk to folks that maybe you've been looking forward to during your trip. And if you're done with that, then you can leave, 7:30, the raffle is always around 7:30. And, if you want to leave after that, go right ahead. You don't have to stay till 9. But in this case, a lot of people left right after the raffle because they wanted to hurry up and get downtown for Trace Atkins. So again, I say that to say that possibly, or I know that contributed to a little bit less attendance too. But with all that being said, there was still a ton more people apparently at the expo as a whole. So as long as everyone had a good time, that's all I care about. I could really care less about the number of people that show up to the rally, other than from a planning and logistical standpoint. I kind of need to know, or have some sort of trend to estimate or guesstimate on, for future planning purposes. But at the end of the day, if 100 people come and they're super excited and no one feels like they were left out or left behind, if 100 people show up and we had capacity for 600 people, and everyone's happy, and the other 500 people just didn't even come to the expo, or that, they didn't care about coming to the rally or whatever, then I'm totally fine with that. The whole reason why I started finding other venues and kind of taking this rally to a whole nother level is because so many people came to Pleasure Ridge Pizza back in the day, the early venue, the early location right down the street from the expo. So many people came a couple of years in, back in 2016. So that was 6 years ago, or whatever my math is there, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, 6 years ago. So many people came that some people just kept driving by. Like, there was nowhere to park, and some people just got a little intimidated by so many people kind of being shoulder to shoulder, and it was their first time. And I know some brands wanted to stop by and say, hey, even though it wasn't even like an official thing like it is now, they just heard about it, and they wanted to come stop by, and they just kept on driving because it was so overwhelming seeing people inside, outside, all in the parking lot, all down the sidewalk, just people spilled over everywhere because there's like 100-something people at this one tiny little pizza restaurant. So that's why I was like, man, like, I felt bad. People were messaging me like, hey, I'll catch it. Because I would say to people, hey, you coming to the rally tonight? And they're like, what's that? Of course, there's always somebody. But back then it was still so new that really no one knew. And I'm like, oh yeah, we get together down at the pizza place down the road. We'll see you there. All right, cool. We can talk there then, because like, you're always busy at the expo. It's hard to stop and talk to too many people for too long. So the rally is another opportunity where it's just kind of chill and you can do that. That was always the whole point, to kind of recap the first main day of the expo and just meet, hang out, have a good time, and have conversation, and not feel rushed to look at equipment or demo stuff before they close down and things like that. And then I got messages from people saying, hey, sorry, maybe I'll catch you tomorrow at the show. Sorry, we tried to come, but there was nowhere to park, or it was just too crazy, or whatever, and so on and so forth. And I just felt bad. So that was ultimately why I started making this bigger and better as much as I could, because I didn't want to leave anyone behind. So I'm sure I've told parts of that story before on many episodes, but I just, now that we're all focusing on everything Equip Expo, just wanted to give that quick backstory there too. So that's why I say, if only 100 people show up, but we have room for 600 people and everyone's happy, and the other 500 people that didn't come are happy, or they specifically didn't come just because that just wasn't their thing, they didn't care to come or whatever, then I'm fine. I'm happy. I'm good. The goal was achieved, right? I just wanted to make sure that we had a big enough space for everyone that wants to come and enjoy themselves and have a good time. That's all. That's where it all came from. And then, of course, there's expenses in all of that. So I just wanted to get some brands involved that are good brands that really support the community that so many of us use every day in our business. And I thought it was a win-win all the way around. They get to hang out and network and chat with you guys, give away some free swag. In some cases, they have specific swag made up just for the rally. How awesome is that? So you're walking around on Friday with swag that nobody else has except for the people that showed up for the rally. That's pretty dope. Like the Toro hats that they made specifically for the rally. I know Skag's done that in the past. And they made specific shirts for this year for the rally and things like that. Like that's epic. That's awesome. And, they have special giveaways for the rally, sometimes more than others, some years more than others. There's no obligation. That's just an additional voluntary thing. I mean, they're already paying for the venue, the food and all that stuff, and the event shirts that you guys get, which that's specific to every rally as well that I hand out and all that. So anyway, ultimately, I notice those kind of things. I pay attention to those numbers, but it ultimately doesn't really matter as long as everybody was able to come. I had room for everyone that wanted to come, and everyone had a good time. And that's all that mattered at the end of the day. I will say that we ran out of food a lot faster than I thought. I don't know what's up with that, but I have kind of touched on this, I think maybe with Paul or something on an episode previously before the Equip, just saying that, the venue stepped up their game with taking everything on, like so many logistical things in the background that you guys probably don't care about, but there are so many different things that I had to, so many different points of contact to pull all this together. And it kind of really spread me thin last year, and I ended up being late to my own party, being late to the rally, and everybody was joking on me all the way till this year, and I was like an hour and a half early this year, so I'm guessing there ain't no more jokes, but I was the first one there, so I really just wanted to get that first spot so I could just park my truck there. I didn't want to have to navigate my massive truck anywhere else downtown or in a parking lot. I just wanted to park there and be done with it and be out the way because I wasn't planning on going anywhere. So And I also just wanted to make sure I had enough time to get ready and set up. So, but last year it was a lot more going on and so many different things I had to deal with and coordinate just for this one rally meetup. But this year, the event expo, the venue, Copper and Kings, was taking everything in-house. They were taking over the catering and having their chef and their restaurant staff take care of the catering. We picked the menu and all that kind of stuff way in advance, obviously, and they just made all the stuff. So instead of having an outside caterer come in, they catered it themselves right there in-house. Same thing with, they had their cash bars because they're already, distillery and all that. They took care of security. In the past, I had to kind of do some of that and different, super high level behind the scenes stuff, but that you don't probably care about. But they took care of all that this year as well. So it's just one point person that I had to talk with. It was very easy to be able to just email one person, have conference calls with one person, walk the venue with one person, and she killed it. She really did a phenomenal job. Her name's Haley, so thank you, Haley. Great job. If I had said that prior, maybe, in a different episode, you guys could have been like, thank you, Haley. And she would have been like, what in the world? How does everybody know my name? But that would have been fun. But I know some folks thanked her, and I'm always thanking everybody and the security and everything that night, just showing our appreciation for them putting on a good, and the whole staff of Copper and Kings for doing such a great job. But they did run out of food. So I talked to Haley. I'm like, what's going on with that? Why we ran out of food? I had food for 500 people, because I have no idea how many people are going to show up, right? Only 494 people registered. And, I didn't know that number months ago because there were only like 200 people registered like months ago when I had to come up with this, come up with the whole menu, like finalize the menu and come up with these numbers so they could start, preparing for all that. This is not last minute stuff that these big venues and caterers do. They got to plan this stuff way in advance. So that's why I kept harping on registering. The earlier you register for this, the easier it is for me to put it together for you guys and have more food. So to be perfectly honest, it's kind of like, almost some people's faults. Like if you guys waited so long to register, and I'm just guessing, I'm doing the best I can here. So if I ordered too much food and not enough people showed up and ate it, then I would have had to pay, or not me specifically, but the event expenses would have been even more than what they needed to be. Which ultimately doesn't matter, right? The sponsors are paying for it, all that kind of stuff, but it's a little unprofessional to go back after the fact and ask for more money or whatever nonsense. And basically that would have just come out of my pocket, honestly, because I just wouldn't have wanted to go down that path and be like, hey, Echo, send you an invoice for an extra $1,000, because we had all this food left over, because I had no idea how many people were going to show up, and I just guessed, and I guessed wrong because everyone waits to the last minute to register. Anyway, I digress. My whole point is I try to do the best I can to put all this together. So I apologize that we ran out of food. I picked 500, food for 500 people. Haley said people were grabbing 2, 3, 4 plates at a time, loaded with meatballs and chicken and sandwiches, instead of like grabbing like a nice amount, grabbing like one plate, going down, sitting down, eating, letting someone else get stuff, and then going back up for seconds after everybody got first. But people were like, I'm just going to grab enough the first time. And then she saw a lot of people not able to finish some of those plates and just throw them in the garbage. So she was seeing plates of meatballs being thrown away. Could have been because they didn't like it. I don't know. But I've heard the people that were able to eat said the food was good, and especially the meatballs. Actually, I heard some people say, yeah, I wasn't that really down with the fancy sandwich, but the meatballs were great. I didn't get too much. I didn't get any chicken because that was gone, like whatever. So the point is, man, she visually saw a lot of people. She even got small plates to try and deter people from putting too much on a plate. But instead, people just took 2 or 3 plates and just filled it up. And I get it. You were hungry. I totally get it. The solution is just to get more food, not anything else. I'm not trying to tell you guys or ask anyone to stop eating or, not have a good time. I'm just trying to tell you what happened. That's all. We didn't order enough food. So problem solved. We'll just order more food. If we end up with any leftover, which I'm guessing will never happen based after, this year and the years prior, we never have any leftover food. I just don't want it to run out as fast as it did in this year. I don't want that to happen ever again. I felt really bad. I was able to grab one meatball before they moved the 3rd floor down to the 2nd floor, and then that was gone in 2 seconds. So I was at least able to try a meatball, and I thought it was pretty decent too. So new catering. I wasn't sure how I was going to taste and all that, and how it was going to go. So I think it all went well. Just we didn't order enough food because I just didn't know. So in the future, we'll just beef up the expenses, order more food. Ask the sponsors to. The Spencers, imagine that was a Freudian slip there. Ask the Spencers to just, pay us more money. Like, yeah, come on, woo, food on the Spencers. Yeah. No, they're gracious enough as it is. They bought a whole bunch of Cujo shoes to unsuspecting folks, attendees that were just trying on shoes, and they go to buy a pair of Cujos and they're like, oh no, it's on Spencer's Lawn Care. And they're like, what? So they do more than enough awesome stuff for the community. That was like a total slip there. The sponsors, we'll just ask for more money from the sponsors to be able to just get more food and all that kind of stuff. So that's the solution there. But so all the way around, I think everyone had a great time. I heard nothing but good stuff, good feedback from folks for the rally and the expo in itself. Like I said, it was nothing but gratitude. It made me so happy. I know it made the Equip Expo so happy, and I'm just truly grateful for that. And the other takeaway personally that I got is I just need to keep going harder with LCR Media. I need to keep pushing the envelope, see what else we can do, see what else I can partner with the expo with, see what else I can maybe do with the rally and anything else. Just keep pushing the needle forward with LCR Media. I've had a lot of conversations with some folks that have touched millions of dollars in their businesses in the past and or currently. And they had a lot of wise words for me, a lot of good conversations, a lot of challenges, like by this time next year, I expect blank, 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 and blank. So a lot of accountability there. So I try to surround myself with the wisest people possible. The Jonathan Potoshniks, the lawn care millionaire folks, the Marvin Salcidos of the industry and the community. Like those are like my friends. Those are like my mentor, peer and mentor circle, like those are the folks that are trying to make me make me the best that I can be and help me be motivated and get the self-confidence to keep pushing forward with LCR Media and all the exciting things that I enjoy doing with the community and content creation and so on. So that's my other big takeaway. No need for me to go in any more details with that. I just wanted to give my two main takeaways, and it's really all about gratitude. I'm grateful to Equip Expo for putting on a great show again and being great partners with everything that we've done, and Influencer Live and Energize and everything. Great job. Phenomenal. I had a good time. I was able to get some more podcasts in, so look forward to that in the future. Thank you to the Toro Company, of course, not only for sponsoring the LCR Media podcast, but all of the great events and meet and greets that we had in their booth, and how they just really take care of us and take care of the end users and take care of everyone that came into their booth. It was super hectic at times, so they all did the best they could to cater to everybody, but they have great products, great booth, inside, outside. Awesome. Great job, Toro. Love it. Can't wait for future endeavors and partnerships and things like that, as well as talking to you guys on the next IBG episode. So thank you guys for listening. That's all I have. A little bit shorter than a typical IBG episode, but I just wanted to I went down some rabbit holes there and got it all out of my system. That's my recap of the show, of the expo. A lot of new folks that I met, a lot of first timers there that were blown away. So I hope you guys all had a good time and enjoyed yourselves. And I look forward to seeing you next year, and in between now and then, anywhere else, whether it be LEL or any other events that come up, or just seeing you guys on social media. If you keep listening, future episodes that maybe you're listening to on the LCR Media podcast and so on. So thank you guys as always for listening. And like I said, thank you to the Toro Company for so much, as well as sponsoring the LCR Media podcast and their support with that. Thank you to everyone that helped me with all of the events. So many volunteers, so many folks like, what can I do? What can I help? What can I set up? What can I organize at the rally? And then everyone that participated in Influencer Live. You had Alex Kirby with Trifecta Landscaping, Andy Mulder with Mulder Outdoors, Mitchell Gordy with Mitchell's Lawn Care, which that's actually changing to Mythgo. If you don't know what's going on, stay tuned for the Green Industry Podcast, the episode of Influencer Live where Paul interviewed Mitchell and went through that whole story. I'm sure that'll be coming up in the next week or two. So thank you to all those guests. And of course, thank you to Paul Jameson And thank you to Caleb Allman. Thank you to John Pajak for being my point person out in the crowd, queuing up all the Q&As, as well as helping me with the rally and just being a great friend and keeping me company and rooming with me for the last couple of years and helping me brainstorm and strategize. And at sometimes keeping me calm and sane during some of the craziness that goes on behind the scenes. So thank you to everybody. I'm full of gratitude. Tons of people at the expo are full of gratitude. This episode is all about gratitude. Thank you, guys. This is the Lawn Care Rookie, signing off.
This has been an LCR Media and Mr. Producer production.
There's a place in the Blue Ridge Mountains where a designated American viticultural area produces wines as unforgettable as the views. To learn more about the crest of the Blue Ridge wine country, click this banner and find your mountain moments in Hendersonville, North Carolina.